The movie opens with a gripping scene on a desert exoplanet named Dune, where a spaceship crew is wrapping up their research. In the midst of their final preparations, the ground beneath them starts to stir ominously, signaling the presence of a massive subterranean creature. The crew members are taken aback by this sudden seismic activity and report the phenomenon. Tragically, one crew member is swallowed whole by the earth. Moments later, a gigantic worm-like entity bursts from the sand, consuming another terrified crew member in a shocking display of the planet's hidden dangers. The narrative then shifts to the Space Force Interstellar Operation Base, where preparations are underway to dispatch a rescue team to Dune.
Lieutenant Astrid, a skilled yet rebellious young pilot,
is assigned to lead the mission. Captain Chase briefs her, emphasizing the importance of obedience and the chain of command. Astrid, known for her exceptional piloting skills, but also for her tendency to defy orders, finds herself at odds with Chase's strict adherence to protocol. The plot thickens when Astrid intercepts a distress signal from a Russian astronaut stranded in space. His oxygen supply is rapidly depleting as he struggles to repair his satellite. Despite Captain Chase's orders to leave the matter to the Russians, Astrid can't stand idly by while the astronaut suffocates. The situation escalates when the astronaut, in a desperate attempt for help, broadcasts in English, knowing that no Russian assistance is near. Astrid, driven by her conscience, decides to intervene and rescue the astronaut, blatantly disregarding both Chase's and Major Hawkins's commands. In an act of daring bravery, she manages to free the astronaut from his predicament, saving his life just in time. However, Astrid's heroic act does not go unpunished. She faces severe reprimand for her insubordination and violation of military law and an international treaty that forbids direct interaction between Russian and American forces. Captain Chase, while acknowledging Astrid's exceptional abilities, is forced to consider harsh disciplinary measures. Astrid is warned that she may be relegated to piloting a MOLV-1 ship, the lowest class in the fleet. This demotion would place her alongside other offenders in a labor program, effectively marking a drastic turn in her career. Captain Chase and Major Hawkins agree that Astrid, despite her recent act of insubordination, should be given a chance to redeem herself by piloting a tug ship. Astrid then meets her new team: Ronnie, the navigator; Rebecca, the mechanic; and Brad, the tugline operator. All of them are prisoners assigned to hard labor, reflecting the gravity of their past mistakes. The team boards their tug ship, a less than ideal spacecraft, and sets off for planet Dune to rescue the freighter crew introduced at the beginning of the movie. Tensions quickly arise between Astrid and Rebecca. Astrid insists on being addressed as lieutenant, but Rebecca shows little respect, challenging Astrid's authority and decisions. Their journey to Dune becomes even more perilous as they navigate through an asteroid field. Astrid skillfully pilots the ship, but it sustains damage, leading to a heated argument among the crew. Astrid sends Brad and Rebecca to assess and repair the damage, attempting to maintain some semblance of order. Later, Astrid confides in Ronnie about Rebecca's hostility. Ronnie reveals that Rebecca comes from a long line of military service members and is resentful of Astrid's relatively lenient punishment for her previous actions. Upon reaching Dune, the crew lands on the planet's scorching surface. They discover the freighter's trail, which appears to have been dragged across the terrain. Despite Astrid's suspicion that something is amiss, the crew believes that the freighter's occupants might be injured or hiding from the extreme heat. As they prepare for their rescue mission, they realize they have lost communication with the base and must also contend with an active volcano nearby. In a moment of carelessness, Astrid accidentally drops a liquor bottle, revealing that she has been hiding alcohol. The crew confronts her about the risks of drunk driving, but their argument is abruptly interrupted by the sudden attack of the worm-like creature. Fleeing from the creature, the team takes shelter in a cave where they encounter Harley, a survivor from the freighter. Harley shares that his crew scattered during the worm's attack, and he got separated from them, including his girlfriend, Marilyn. The situation escalates as the worm infiltrates the cave. The crew navigates cautiously to avoid detection and learns from Harley that there might still be survivors. Rebecca argues for a quick departure, but Astrid is adamant about not leaving until everyone is rescued. Eventually, they find an exit from the cave. Harley collapses from his injuries, and Astrid devises a plan. Brad stays with Harley, Ronnie, and Rebecca prepare the freighter for launch, and she ventures to the ridge in search of survivors. Despite the dangers, Astrid is determined to fulfill her mission and promises to return with the tug. The plot intensifies as Astrid heroically distracts the deadly worm to aid Ronnie and Rebecca's escape to the freighter. She races to the ridge, the worm in hot pursuit, but finds safety as the creature is unable to climb the steep incline. On the ridge, Astrid frantically searches for survivors and discovers Marilyn hiding among the rocks. Marilyn shares the grim fate of the other crew members, devoured by the worm as they try to reach the freighter. She reveals a horrifying truth: there are at least 4 worms on the planet, instilling further fear in the group. Astrid listens intently as Marilyn, equipped with a telemetric scanner, explains understands the worm's behavior. These creatures, she explains, feed on the iron found in the sand and are attracted to the iron in human blood. Astrid's hopes are dashed when Marilyn clarifies that the iron in their ships is not in a form that would interest the worms. Marilyn describes a massive worm, presumably the mother, accompanied by 3 smaller ones, likely its offspring. This formidable predator had previously captured a freighter, highlighting the dire situation they face. Concerned for Brad's safety, Astrid urgently radios him to stay put. To calm Marilyn's nerves, Astrid shares her family's homemade brew, revealing a bit of her personal history and offering solace in their bleak situation. Communication proves challenging as Astrid tries to contact Ronnie and Rebecca, realizing they need to reach higher ground for a better signal. Marilyn, paralyzed with fear of the worms, is initially reluctant to move. However, upon learning that Harley is still alive, she finds the courage to follow Astrid. The two make a perilous dash across the desert, pursued by a relentless worm. Meanwhile, Ronnie and Rebecca narrowly escape a worm attack and arrive at the freighter. Faced with the dilemma of whether to abandon the damaged freighter for the safety of the tug, Ronnie argues for evacuation. In contrast, Rebecca, motivated by her ties to the IMC and the potential financial rewards, is determined to repair and preserve the valuable freighter. She tries to tempt Ronnie with a share of the profits, but he remains committed to their rescue mission. Their conversation grows heated as Rebecca expresses her indifference to the lives at stake, prioritizing the freighter over human lives. The situation becomes increasingly precarious as Rebecca and Ronnie strategize to get their freighter operational. Rebecca explains to Ronnie that the intake ports under the ship must be cleared for it to start, but this poses a significant risk due to the proximity to the sand where the worms are lurking. Rebecca suggests a safer alternative, clearing the ports from inside the ductwork. Although apprehensive, Ronnie agrees to the plan, drawing upon her knowledge of the freighter's ventilation system, which she had studied while in the brig. She decides to access the intake ports via the exhaust system in the HVAC room and promises to contact Rebecca once the task is accomplished. The mission takes a dangerous turn when a baby worm infiltrates the freighter and pursues Ronnie. In a panic, Ronnie radios Rebecca about the imminent threat. Despite the peril, Ronnie successfully escapes through the exhaust, urging Rebecca to crank up the system to its maximum setting. This quick thinking leads to the worm being incinerated inside the ductwork. Meanwhile, Rebecca faces her own battle outside the ship. While attempting to repair the external power line, she is attacked by another baby worm. In a desperate move, she uses an electrical wire to electrocute and ultimately kill the creature. After this close encounter, Rebecca and Ronnie reunite, with Rebecca insisting that they need to get the freighter running and leave the planet as soon as possible. She callously states that they will only rescue the others if they arrive in time. Otherwise, their fate is not their concern. Elsewhere, Astrid and Marilyn, stranded atop a rock, attempt to contact Chase for backup and firepower, urgently explaining the threat posed by the giant man-eating worms. However, Chase denies their request, stating that such reinforcements are reserved for higher-ranking personnel, or in case of a Russian attack. Frustrated and feeling abandoned, Astrid realizes they can only rely on themselves for survival. It becomes apparent that Chase and the higher-ups are already aware of the worm threat, but Hawkins refuses to authorize a retrieval team, opting to wait until the worms become dormant. Back at the cave, Brad and Harley are forced to evacuate as a nearby volcano nears eruption. Surrounded by worms, they ingeniously create an escape route by punching a hole in the cave's roof. In a daring move, they hook a worm and ride it across the desert, using it as transportation to the freighter. However, upon reaching the freighter, the worm violently throws them to the ground. In a tragic twist, Rebecca is devoured by the worm. Brad, driven by fury and desperation, manages to kill the worm by crushing it with the freighter's landing gear. With Rebecca, their mechanic, now gone, the survivors face the grim reality that they must wait for Astrid's return to access the tug ship. In the gripping finale of the movie, Astrid showcases her ingenuity and resourcefulness by crafting explosives from the chemicals in Marilyn's backpack. She successfully creates 10 bombs, which Marilyn advises should be aimed at the worms' mouths for maximum effectiveness. Using the bombs as a diversion, Astrid and Marilyn make a daring escape to the tug ship. However, their relief is short-lived as the massive worm relentlessly attacks the ship, causing significant damage to the fuel tank. Undeterred, Astrid formulates a desperate plan. She bravely exits the ship with a gun and a bomb in hand. In a moment of high tension, she hurls the explosive at the fuel, resulting in a massive explosion that obliterates the ship and annihilates the colossal worm, turning the tide of their dire situation. Meanwhile, Captain Chase makes a courageous decision to personally lead a rescue mission for Astrid and her team, defying a direct order from Hawkins. This act of defiance underscores her commitment to her crew and her willingness to put their safety above protocol. As Astrid grapples with her own regrets about not following orders, Marilyn reassures her, affirming the righteousness of her actions in prioritizing prioritizing the saving of lives. Upon reuniting with Marilyn and Harley at the freighter, Astrid and her team face yet another threat from an aggressive worm. In a dramatic turn of events, Chase intervenes just in time, firing at the worm and enabling the crew to board the ship. However, their escape is not without complications. A worm latches onto one of the ship's thrusters, causing damage. In a decisive move, Astrid throws a timed bomb into the worm, leading to its explosive demise. The crew frantically works to maximize the thruster's power, but the impact of the explosion causes Chase to hit her head and lose consciousness. As the ship veers dangerously close to an erupting volcano, Astrid and Ronnie desperately attempt to regain control. In a nail-biting sequence, they manage to awaken Chase, and with her guidance, navigate the ship away from the volcanic eruption, barely escaping the planet. In the aftermath, Hawkins acknowledges Astrid's bravery and the successful rescue of 2 survivors. Although the loss of the freighter and tug ship is noted, Astrid's probation is lifted, reinstating her on the rescue team. Hawkins reveals a positive outcome of Astrid's earlier actions. The Russian astronaut she saved has become a national hero, leading to groundbreaking solar panel innovations and fostering cooperation between the Russians and their team. The movie concludes with Astrid hinting at a new chapter, indicating her intent to work with Ronnie, Brad, and Chase in future missions. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.